to watch the Seahawks. Seahawks start stinking, and she was like, yeah, you can change it off. So I'm flipping around, and I'm like, all right.
It was a bad one for Seattle.
Bears-Commanders was not a good game, but the fourth quarter was crazy. The Bears tried to hand off to an offensive lineman on the goal line. He fumbles. Commanders get the ball. Bears get it back, then take the lead. Washington now got the ball. They pick up a bonus 15 yards to put them into Hail Mary range. Tony Romo's losing his mind. And let me say this. I love and adore Marcus Mariota for everything that he did for the Oregon Ducks. And he is a Heisman Trophy winner, and he shall live in lore and legend as an Oregon football player. That being said, Tony Romo really said, I think they might think about bringing Marcus Mariota in here to throw this Hail Mary. And it's like, in what world does that ever happen? I love Marcus, but bring him in cold to throw Hail Mary. Yeah. Tony Romo's losing his mind. But Jaden Daniels gets the extra 15 yards. He chucks the thing, I think, 60 yards in the air. The Commanders execute the Hail Mary perfectly. The Bears do one of the most boneheaded things I have ever seen. And that is, for 4 seconds, and you guys all probably have seen this, but for 4 seconds while Jaden Daniels is running around, buying time, letting his receivers get downfield, the cornerback from the Bears, by the way, you know what we've learned since? Because is it Stevenson? Is that his name?
Yeah, let me double check.
His job was to box out the guy in the back. The guy who caught the touchdown.
Tyreek Stevenson.
Stevenson. Yeah, I knew it. He is, for 4 seconds of an actual NFL game, he is taunting the crowd with his back to the play.
Any guesses on where he went to college?
No idea.
Miami and Georgia. So there you go.
All right. Well, I don't know if he's going to be playing for the Bears much longer because
that's tough.
He literally cost them a game. Because and this was Belichick was talking about this, if he does his job was not to be taunting the Commanders fans. His job was to be behind the guy boxing out the guy who caught the touchdown. But because he was taunting the fans, realized, I need to, and he goes running over late, does what every coach tells you not to do, which is never, if you're the defender on a Hail Mary, tip the ball. You knock it to the ground. The guy he was supposed to be guarding was wide open. The ball tips behind him because he is late to the play. He did 3 things wrong in one play. As nuts as it sounds, if he is still talking trash in the corner of the end zone and the Bears are playing 10 on 11, they probably have a better chance of defending that play than him showing up late to the party. So I don't know what his status is on the team. I don't know if
it was actually a pretty big deal.
I don't know if this could cost him his job, but this is serious business.
Yeah, I mean, from what I read yesterday, apparently he and again, just from what I saw on Twitter, and I have no real.
Twitter's never lied to either one of us before.
Well, from a verified reporter, is that yesterday he went to Matt Eberflus and he talked to the team before they had their team meeting, and pretty much was like, "Yeah, I effed up."
Yeah, well, we all know. We all saw.
So, I mean, I appreciate a guy, Justin, just like, not so much that cost somebody a football game, but I make mistakes. You make mistakes. We're all human. Do I think he should be kicked out of the NFL? No, but the Bears might be like, yeah, you're not with us anymore, kind of a thing.
That's what I'm saying.
Now, again, like I said, clearly talented, 3rd-round pick, so I doubt he's going anywhere.
Oh, yeah, he's not going anywhere. I didn't know he was a 3rd-round pick.
I'll just say, I appreciate it, being, for lack of better terms, Justin, grabbing yourself and being in front of 150 grown men?
Yeah.
Who are you did what to us?
So
it probably took some vulnerability, which I appreciate. But yeah, it was
good
bad.
for him.
It was so
and
bad.
You know, we're a positive show,
so
and we want to put a positive
so
spin.
Bad,
but he did 3 things wrong on one play that cost them a game that, who knows, might cost them a playoff spot. You know
Matt
what I mean?
Eberflus's job.
That might cost Matt Eberflus's job. I mean, who now? Matt Eberflus has nothing to say because he gave the ball to an offensive lineman on the 1-yard line. So you can't get all mad about your cornerback taunting the fans when you decided we're going to give the ball to an offensive lineman with the game on the line. But congratulations to Stevenson. You are now a trivia question because everyone will now know, because every coach in the NFL, every coach at a Power 4 school in college, every coach down to Division 14, every coach, 8-man football coaches across high school football is all going to be talking about that play and that guy and doing your job and being accountable and everything else. Congratulations. You are now the example that every coach in the country is going to use. Every single one of you. All right. But other things happened. Is Bo Nix awesome again?
Will anyone beat the Chiefs?
Are the Chiefs ever going to lose? Because they keep looking bad, but they keep winning games.
What year is that Dolphins team? They getting worried? 83?
72.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
72. Anthony Richardson checked himself out of a game. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. It's going to be on the other side. NFL News and Notes here on Rip City Mornings next, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, I'm going to be completely honest, which I try to do each and every day. I love college football, and that's why on Mondays we kind of give it a day for the NFL because I want to spend a good chunk of time talking about college football. We also have the World Series going on. We've got the Blazer season now in full swing. It was hard to wait to today to talk about the NFL, and as I'll be honest, in the middle of the show yesterday, I kind of questioned whether I should just throw out, because we have some structures on the show, but we break the structure all the time. And I was questioning in the middle of the show yesterday, should we just about face and just dive right in? Because the NFL had a great week this week. Most weeks, if you go like, all right, who won the battle between the NFL and college football? And you ask me, you go like, even on closest, still, I think college football nudge. This week, the NFL came strong. We have so much stuff to talk about.
That's a lot.
So, where should we start? Let's start with the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs won 27-20. They did not look good because they were
the first time in 2 weeks with Patrick Mahomes having a touchdown pass. So
he did have a touchdown pass.
Better.
He had two of them. Travis Kelce also got in the end zone. What, first time this season? I think?
Yes.
First time this season, Travis Kelce got in the end zone. But it was a 27-20 dogfight against the Raiders. Now, it was on the road, and it's in the NFL, and we don't do – I catch myself doing this. The NFL is not like college, right? College, close games, you can – like Ohio State, Nebraska, you can be like, oh, boy, what's going on there? The NFL, no. You get a win, you move on, you get on the bus, you go home, especially on the road in the NFL. But I think we can easily say the Chiefs at 7-0 still yet to play their best football.
Without question.
Still yet to play their best football, and they are 7-0.
We'll see how D-Hop gets integrated as well.
And they keep acquiring dudes, and they get another guy. You hinted to it in the first segment. Our buddy on Twitter, shout out to Comanche on Twitter, brought it up. When do we start talking about the undefeated season? Now, I am going to sit here and be like, you got to understand something about the 72 Dolphins. The 72 Dolphins played a 14-game regular season schedule, and I believe 2 playoff games, one of which was the Super Bowl.
No, 3 playoff
Three
games.
Playoff games.
You got divisional, AFC, and then
the Super Bowl.
And
so 17 wins.
But again, in modern era, we look back and go, well, the New England Patriots were 16-0.
Exactly. But we don't put them in the same because they didn't win the big trophy.
Don't mean a thing without the ring, as they say, Justin.
The reason why I bring it up is I don't know if we're ever going to see it happen. Because, okay, the Chiefs are 7-0, and they are still defending champions, but to ultimately go undefeated, they got to win, 13 more games? And that's with a first-round bye, right?
We're talking all the way? That'd be
so they have 10 regular season games left on the schedule. If they get a first-round bye to win the Super Bowl, you got to win 3 more games. I guess if they did win 10 games, they would get a first-round bye because they'd be undefeated. That's 13 more games.
If they went 20-0.
That's 20
I mean,
wins.
Build the statue to Reed and Mahomes already. Mahomes might already eclipse Brady in my mind if that happens.
So you think about
I'm kidding, but
20 wins in a regular season. So
is it any crazier?
I do not believe it's ever going to happen.
Is it any crazier, Justin, than going back to yesterday, how now we're going to have a college football team maybe go 16-0? I don't think it's that much crazier. I really don't.
Well, all right. Here's my case. College football team, let's say Oregon. How about it? How about Oregon? They have the best chance, I think, of anybody, considering they're number 1 in the country, and they are currently undefeated. Oregon got to play Idaho. Oregon got to play Oregon State. Oregon got to play Michigan State. Oregon got to play Purdue. There ain't an NFL team that is the NFL equivalent of Oregon playing Purdue. Do you know what I mean? So that's where I think In college, going into the Big Ten, it's not exactly what it used to be, which was in the old Pac-12, you had to get up for about 3 games if you were really good. You had to pay attention to the other games, but you had to get up for about 3 games. Now I would say probably about 4 or 5. The NFL, you got to get up for every game. But what's interesting is you look at the Chiefs now versus, I believe it was it 07 Patriots? 07 Patriots.
16-0.
Correct me if I'm wrong. The 07 Patriots came out of the chute absolutely destroying teams because they're like, we got Randy Moss, we've got Tom Brady. You guys thought it was hard to defend us before. Now Randy Moss has taken the top off of He got like 50 touchdowns that year.
Yeah, let's see. Their closest game, they had a couple, week 9, first time they really got challenged.
Yeah, they didn't get challenged in week 9.
A lot of 38-14s early on. A 52-7, a 56-10.
That team was so good.
But then down the stretch, you could see the cracks. 3-point win in week 12, 3-point win in week 13, 10-point win in week 15, 3-point win in week 17, who they would ultimately end up losing to in the Super Bowl. So
yeah, because that's what happens in the NFL, right? Injuries mount up. Yeah. Certain teams are trying to make the playoffs. When you have to face a team twice, that's the other thing in college you get the benefit of. Oregon might have to face Ohio State twice, but they don't got to play Illinois again. And I know they beat the dog out of Illinois this weekend, but what if they had to then go to Illinois? So it's just a completely different animal. And I wonder, when you look at the Chiefs, they're 7-0, but haven't played well, as opposed to the Patriots, who came out in the first 8 weeks of the season in 2007, were just like destroying fools. So
it's definitely interesting because I look at it, Justin, and I know you love to look at schedules.
That's my favorite thing in the world.
And what
are we gonna do? We're gonna look at the Chiefs schedule.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, I've seen it.
We're gonna predict the Chiefs' first loss.
Well, I've just seen it thrown out there that ultimately the Chiefs have one of the easier schedules this year. Like it's, hey, their matchups are pretty good. It's going to lend them to success. And you look at it, you're like, okay, there's a tough game at Buffalo. That's just tough no matter what.
Yeah. Ask the Seahawks.
And then there's a tough game at Pittsburgh. Outside of that, buddy. Is there any game where you're like, I don't know, Jim? And I'm like, not really. Maybe Tampa. Maybe the Chargers.
They play the Texans. I know the Texans
at home though.
They get them at home, but
they're pretty tough to beat at Arrowhead, man. Like, if there's a place I don't want to beat the Chiefs, it's at Arrowhead. So I look at it and I see.
I just think at some point injuries are going to mount up. At some point, a team's going to get your number, and it still doesn't mean they're not the best team in the NFL. I don't think having to win 20 games. I just don't think you're ever going to see.
I'll say this though: if they were, Justin, there's no question. Like, how about that? To completely erase the narrative of if you are the greatest team ever, win your 3rd straight Super Bowl, don't lose. Could you imagine? Like, it'd be over. The conversation would be done. Like, it would be. This is the greatest dynasty of all time in the NFL.
Well, it's funny because we live in a world where we do nothing but conversate about these things. Sure. Conversation would never be over. Stephen A. Smith would be on there screaming about how no, or you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like,
yeah.
A Mad Dog Russo would be like, they're a bunch of frauds. Didn't you watch them? Yes, smart, capable people would be like, yeah, that's kind of it. Somebody would find a way to argue with it. All right, so the Chiefs are incredibly good.
But they're not. They got some teams in the AFC, Justin, coming up, including your boys.
They go to the Bills, and they go to the Steelers on, Christmas Day. That's going to be fun.
That one of Netflix games?
Ooh. It's got to be, right?
That would be so clutch. That'd be awesome.
Because Christmas is on a Wednesday?
I believe there were 3 NFL games that are going to be on Netflix, so check in on that later, but that'd be cool.
Honest to goodness, things I thought I would never see. The Colts go down to the Texans. No shame in that. C.J. Stroud, he threw for, 285, touchdown. Texans are really good. You're on the road. You're the Colts. Anthony Richardson's been banged up a little bit. They lost him to the injuries, especially in that Steeler game. Anthony Richardson took himself out of a game on 3rd and goal because he was tired as a quarterback. I've never seen that ever in my life. Sure, running backs give the tap, tap, tap to the helmet. I just ran, back-to-back 15 yards. I need a breather. We have other backup running backs. Defensive linemen might have to give a tap, tap, tap. I'm a little bit winded. Your starting quarterback on 3rd and goal in a division game that you are in says this. We have the clip? It says this about why he wasn't there on 3rd and goal.
Man, tired. I ain't gonna lie. That was a lot of running right there, what I did, and I don't think I was gonna be able to go that next play. So I just, just told Sam I just needed a break right there.
Needed a break right there.
Okay. Brenden, I don't want to make a mountain out of a molehill, but I don't think this is a molehill. I think this is a mountain. The NFL is full of grown men, and these grown men determine or depend on other grown men to do their job so that everybody can get paid, right? This is an economic thing. How do you feel if you are the starting left guard of the Indianapolis Colts and you're like, we are in a game in division here? They were 4-3 going into it. We have a chance to go 5-3. That's a pretty good record the first technically half because they ruined it by making an odd number. But we have a chance to go 5-3 and pick up a road win on the division leader in Houston. It is 3rd and goal. Now I realize I think they were backed up a little bit, but 3rd and goal. You're our quarterback who at some point is going to get paid way more money than all of us because that's what the quarterback gets. And you're going to tap out on 3rd down because you were tired? That move right there, again, maybe I'm doing a little hyperbole here. You could lose the entire team. We talked about it with the Carolina Panthers. They had to make the move to Andy Dalton and get Bryce Young out of there because the entire team knew, we don't have a chance to win with this guy, and you could lose your entire team. How do you feel if you're any member of the Colts who you are dying on every down, just trying to scratch? A touchdown is so valuable in the NFL. It's so valuable in the NFL. And you are scratching and clawing and bleeding for every yard. And your quarterback, your leader, he taps the helmet to leave on 3rd and goal in division. I'm not saying it might cost him the locker room, but if I am somebody on that team, Brenden, that's something I never forget. It's something I never forget. Now, maybe he might come back.
Bad look.
It's just such a, you tapped out?
A quarterback doesn't get to leave.
You don't get to do that.
That's
why you get paid the big bucks.
I'm watching the Steeler game last night, and, it's no different than, the Giants running with, Tyrone Tracy and some of their other running back.
When did Tyrone Tracy become, the best running back in the league?
Dude, he was cooking last night.
When did that happen? Sorry to interrupt you, but I just had
cooking.
to get that off my chest. I was like, who is this guy?
Yeah, so he's cooking last night, and then you look at the Steelers, right? They're giving Najee a lot of a workload. They're giving Jalen Ward. Running backs, that's normal. That is to be expected.
Mm-hmm.
Even receivers, that's normal to be expected. Offensive linemen and quarterbacks, they don't come out of a game unless you're...
But also running backs get paid a fifth of what a quarterback gets paid.
That too. That's the other big
because you got to
elephant.
get 3 of them.
It's insane, and
I've never seen that before in my life.
I don't know. I told you this, and you...
Isn't that a must-lie situation? I know he said, I can't lie, I was tired. No, I felt my hamstring tightened up there. I don't know.
And I'm just curious, and maybe this is projecting way too much, Justin, but you mentioned to me, you're like, hey, your take on Anthony Richardson a couple years ago could play out, and... I just went back to everything I learned about Florida in that year when that was Billy Napier's first season, and I'm surprised he's still hanging on, Justin. How is that? That's another conversation for a different day. I just remember everyone being like, oh yeah, he just kind of quit on the Florida team that year and was just like, yeah, I'm gone, I'm out, bye. And I'm just like, now you're kind of seeing this, for a play, Justin, you quit on your teammates.
Yeah.
So you want
to know what?
I don't know. It's the mental. It's the mental, right?
So you've got, that's a bad look. And then on top of that, he's throwing 44% completion percentage this year as a quarterback. That's bad. Like, it's not good. He's got 4 touchdowns with 7 interceptions this year. So you're already bad. Like, that's objectively bad in the NFL, to throw under 50% completion percentage and have more interceptions than you have touchdowns. And you are now, and the one thing you have got is you've got some athleticism and you've got some legs and you can make some play. You can make a play on third down. I can't make a play, dog. I'm tired.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it happened.
Unbelievable.
So that was ugly for Indianapolis. Shane Steichen's going to have something to deal with, Justin.
That's such a problem. What else happened in the NFL? The Jets are hot garbage? Who are they going to fire now?
Well, I'll say
the Jets lost to the Patriots.
Okay, so let me ask you this, Josh.
Who are they going to fire?
This is funny. The Jets and Browns are both 2-6. Talk about the confidence you have in the Browns over the Jets. Like, I'm like, oh, the Browns, man. Jameis.
All right. We have to be fair here.
We do.
Is the Aaron Rodgers thing over? Like, is he
good.
As a quarterback, is he cooked?
Thursday, they play the Texans at home. They have not played at home since they got Davante Adams. It's a must-win. The Thursday is, they will sell their season to win Thursday. If they can't beat C.J. Stroud at home.
Think about everything we said
done.
About Russ that first year with the Broncos, about how Russ might be cooked. He's not, by the way. Russ is cooking. My wife is so mad at me because I'm just like, I'm all in on Russ. And she's like, because she's a Seahawk fan. So she does not like Russ, and I understand why. And she's like, oh, so you're just all in on Russ? And I'm like, he plays for my team. It's just the way it goes.
I think you'd drive me crazy if you were in my house and I was a former Seahawk fan. I think I'd be like, all right, Justin, you can keep that to yourself.
Yeah, she signed up for it forever.
That's funny.
But think about what we were saying about Russ in Denver. Like,
fit matters.
What's the difference between that and Aaron Rodgers? What's going on in New York? What's the difference? You tried. Remember, they did that with Denver. They fired Nathaniel Hackett because it was his fault, right? And maybe some of it was because he clearly didn't know how to manage a game at the end of
as bad as it sounds.
The clock management situation. But it's like, oh, you fired Robert Saleh.
Russell,
you got your buddy Davante Adams. You got everything you want, and you lose to the Patriots.
I'll say this: Russell Wilson would have killed to have the weapons that Aaron Rodgers has in Denver. Their best player is still Cortland Sutton. I know Bo Nick's making him look decent now. But if you'd have had Russell Wilson like, hey, Russ, here's Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson, think that Bronco team would have been a little bit better. So, yeah, I mean, Russ is playing well. I think the Jets, it really literally comes down to one game, Justin. Can they win on Thursday at home on a short week? Otherwise, the season's over. Your interim coach hasn't won a game.
That'd be 6. If they lose to the Texans Thursday, Halloween night, that's 6 losses in a row.
Yeah, they're done. It's cooked. So you have one game.
Then they go to the Cardinals. Again, we usually play a game of are they good? Are the Cardinals good?
I tried to tell you, man.
Are they good? I mean, I don't know if they're good, but anyways.
Competitive.
They're competitive.
That whole division's extremely competitive. I'll say that. Because
the Seahawks really, they looked terrible on Sunday. They looked terrible. But they looked great the week before.
But then they look bad against the Giants. So it's like hip, hop, hip, hop, hip, hop.
We, coming up in hour number 2, I want to talk about the Seahawks a little bit because I think they've got a Geno problem. I really do. I think they've got a Geno problem.
They will have to continue the NFL thought.
So we got that, but we have got to, while it is NFL Day, we still got some more college football stuff to dive into. College football news and notes. Playoff Bubble Watch continues as we go on campus next, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, we'll get back to some more NFL stuff coming up in about 20 minutes or so in hour number 2. We also got a make or miss coming up, and a rare but I feel necessary football-related get off my lawn coming up in hour number 2 as well. I do want to let you know that Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday, by the way, it is back. You need to be listening each and every Tuesday. That's today, by the way, to Chad and Dwight from 3 to 6 for your chance to win a pair of tickets to an upcoming Blazers home game. It is Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday all season long here on Rip City Radio, and you can also get single game tickets right now at trailblazers.com. So, we now have another week behind us in college football. Looking ahead, Oregon heads to Michigan in the Big House. Massive matchup in Happy Valley between Ohio State and Penn State. A couple of big matchups also going on in the SEC. And the Beavs, I think, get a much-needed bye week from the tailspin that they have been going through right now. But we are now starting to see some things take shape in this college football playoff. There are some bubble teams. There are some teams on the outside looking in. Who needs help? And a couple of interesting conference races that are going to prove to be very interesting. Let's get the cool music. It is time to go on campus. All right, so this is current bubble watch. College Football Playoff 2024. This is from Heather Dinich. She does this each and every Tuesday, and ESPN does a really good job of kind of showing how Brenden, there are going to be some football fans that still do not understand that the seeding of the playoff is different than the ranking of the teams. Because when you look at it, you say, Oregon's number 1 seed in the projected playoff, and Georgia's the number 2 seed in the projected playoff. And you go, I can understand that. How is BYU a projected 4 seed? And Ohio State and Texas are 6 and 7. That's because seeding is different than rankings. And this is where it's going to get very interesting. I believe Ohio State, Penn State's an elimination game this weekend. Now, for that to happen, Oregon's got to take care of business against Michigan. They're 2 touchdown favorites at the Big House. But if Ohio State beats Penn State, that gives them, obviously, a head-to-head win over Penn State. Ohio State still has Indiana on the schedule, and so then Penn State is all but eliminated unless Ohio State does something really foolish against Indiana or Michigan. Indiana, for them, all roads lead to Columbus, where they were going to have to beat the Buckeyes to get into this Big Ten championship, and Oregon just has to win the rest of their games that they shall be favored in. But you got an elimination game, I believe, between Ohio State and Penn State in terms of the Big Ten this weekend. Penn State's still projected to be the number 5 team, this according to ESPN. They've got them slightly ahead of Ohio State. Obviously, that will shake out. If the playoffs started right now, Tennessee would take on Penn State. Indiana would take on Texas A&M. Clemson would take on Ohio State. And Boise State would be the group of 5 or group of 6 representative, and they would take on the Texas Longhorns. Notre Dame, Iowa State, Kansas State, and Alabama all on the outside looking in, according to ESPN. Ole Miss, LSU, Pitt, who's undefeated, by the way, and surprise, surprise, SMU. Because if you look at 2 conferences where it's going to get real interesting. I believe the ACC championship is going to be between Miami and Clemson. If you look at Miami's remaining schedule, Miami's undefeated. They are home against Duke this weekend. That's a 20-point favorite. They go on the road to Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's 5-4. They get Wake Forest at home. Wake Forest is 4-4, and then you get Syracuse on the road to end the season. You never anticipate that Mario Cristobal is going to win all of his games because there's always something with a Mario Cristobal coach team. But, Brenden, I don't see Miami losing in the ACC. And I don't see Clemson. Clemson's got Louisville, at Virginia Tech, at Pitt. They get the cupcake game against the Citadel before the non-conference rivalry game against South Carolina. I think it's going to come down to Clemson and Miami. But it's interesting. SMU Pitt still hanging around in the ACC. But I do think there are two clear favorites in that conference. Let's get to the weird one. Let's go to the Big 12. Because BYU is undefeated. They're the number 9 team in the country. Iowa State is undefeated. If I could pat myself on the back on that one. They are undefeated. They're the number 11 team in the country. Kansas State hanging around at 4-1. And Kansas State gets Iowa State at the end of the season. And there's old Colorado. Now, Colorado put themselves, in terms of the Big 12 race, kind of put themselves behind the 8 ball with that loss to Kansas State. But if you look at the 4-team race in the Big 12, who you got winning that conference? Are we all just still sleeping on BYU? Because uniforms are magic? Or is I believe Kansas State's the best team of those 4. But they got a freshman quarterback. His name's Avery Johnson, which is weird because that was a basketball coach's name. But the Big 12 is where it's going to get real interesting, especially in a Big 12 championship game where you could see, I don't think a 2-loss Colorado team could sneak into the Big 12 championship game, win it, and leapfrog everybody. Right now, before November, Brenden, you got to bet who's going to win the Big 12. You going BYU?
Man, I really don't.
Isn't it nuts? Somebody's got to win it.
Honestly, I don't know. I don't know enough about these teams to say foot in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I'd go BYU. Kind of rooting against Colorado now, so yeah.
But I mean, BYU's got that win against Kansas State, which kind of gives them a real leg up. But yeah, Big 12 is going to get real interesting. All right, go ahead.
I also, Justin, notice how 1 week later, we're not quite talking about the service academies the same way we were.
Well, yeah.
Funny how that kind of dies down a little bit.
And by the way, Army is just we didn't lose at all.
I know.
Navy lost. And you were just but clearly they can't beat Notre Dame. We just put them both
Poor
together.
Army, man.
They're the same team. It's no, Army could beat Notre Dame.
Army's hey, we're protecting you guys, and, we're still undefeated.
We didn't lose to Notre Dame. Navy did. Bring us into this. All right.
Aircraft carriers lost, not us.
Coming up, we've got hour number 2 coming up next, 620 Rip City Radio.
7 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. Brenden Slaughter with you for Rip City Mornings. The Portland Trailblazers fell to the Sacramento Kings 111-98 with DeAndre Ayton leading the way with 20 points, but a cold shooting night from beyond the arc doomed the Blazers against the Kings yesterday. Over to the MLB, where the Los Angeles Dodgers took a firm grip on the World Series with a 4-2 win over the Yanks in Game 3 in the Big Apple. Do the Dodgers get the sweep? Do the Yankees even put up a fight? We'll see tonight. And Pittsburgh wrapped up the NFL slate with a 26-18 win over the Giants on Monday Night Football to move to 6-2 on the year, leading the AFC North. Coming up on the big show, we got Make or Miss in Hour 2, Devon Pouncey, Hour 3. Justin and I got to talk these Blazers collectible glasses at some point. We got a whole lot to talk about here. 2 more hours of damage left to do. Rip City Mornings.
Hey, welcome back to Rip City Mornings, everybody. Hopefully you are all having a fantastic Tuesday. As Brenden just told you in the update, we got Make or Miss coming up. We also have Get Off My Lawn. Couple of things that happened yesterday. One involving a football game that I have a grumpy old man take about. And another thing that just, I noticed certain things in my life as I get into my now mid-40s and soon to be late 40s. Certain things in life where you get excited about something and you go like, man, that's really some old man excitement. I got some old man excitement yesterday. So we'll talk about that coming up. And Pounce is going to join us in the third hour. Excited to talk some hoops with him. Blazer season just 3 games in. And yeah, did the Blazers tell us something with the collectible glasses? Is there something in between the lines there? Or are we just searching for topics here on this particular show? Both can be true at the same time. I want to get back to the NFL though, because obviously huge week in the NFL. But a couple of things. Let's talk some quarterbacks. Quarterbacks that we know a thing or two about. All right, 3 guys in particular. 2 guys that played at Oregon, both Justin Herbert and Bo Nix. Justin Herbert gets a win against the Saints. The Chargers are 4-3. He threw 2 touchdowns, but I think the story of Justin Herbert is I don't know what fine that offensive lineman of the Chargers is going to get for defending Herbert in that play. You know the play I'm talking about? Defensive lineman, and I don't know what this dude was thinking, but defensive lineman rolls up Justin Herbert, won't let go of his leg. Offensive lineman for the Los Angeles Chargers absolutely cold cocks him, and he should have. 100% should have. Now, he might get fined from the NFL for that. He got flagged for it, and I'm sure that Jim Harbaugh is more than happy to take those 15 yards. But whatever that dude gets fined, if it is, Justin Herbert should pay for it and then give him a bonus. Because that's what you want.
It was a dirty play.
It was such a dirty play.
I mean, who are they playing again?
The Saints. They're playing the Saints.
So I guess my problem...
And I don't understand what you're trying to do there. You're trying to hurt a guy?
Well, and my problem with that is, like, they're not division rivals. They have no reason to not like each other. I don't know. I know the emotions of the game and whatnot, but you were very clearly trying to, like, twist on his ankle/knee. You know, I don't know. Like, I saw that play and I was like, yeah, like, righteous. So totally with you there.
So that I noticed from over the weekend. I know it was against the Carolina Panthers, but Bo Nix looked pretty good this weekend. Jaden Daniels is currently running away with the Rookie of the Year right now because the Commanders are good, and that Hail Mary, he got himself a moment. A lot of season left, but Bo Nix looked really good. 3 touchdowns, 284. The Broncos are 5-3. Broncos are 5-3.
The only other person who's really in that mix is Malik Neighbors at New York because he's put up some pretty good stats. Probably easily the best receiver out of this class so far.
I know that you can't just play...
But quarterback's always going to be king. So.
I know that you can't just play backyard football in the NFL, But Brenden, there was a point last night where I'm like, Pittsburgh, the only guy that can beat you at this particular point is Neighbors. Put 2 dudes on him. Like what? And the Steelers might have the best defense in the NFL, and it's like he's the only guy that can hurt you. Can we just get 2 dudes on him? But that's when I'm in the emotions of the game. But yeah, remember back in September when Bo Nix stunk and people are already throwing out the bust word, and is Sean Payton going to have patience with him? And again, it was against Carolina, but the Broncos are 5-3. I mean, they're as KGB said in Rounders, just hanging around. And I thought, nice step forward for Bo Nix with the Broncos. But the quarterback I want to talk about right now, how are we feeling about Geno Smith, Seattle? How are we feeling about Geno Smith? Because there is a Geno Smith dilemma that I think is going to be going on in Seattle for the foreseeable future. Because, first off, let it be said, I like Geno Smith. I like the fact that he got kind of kicked around in New York, bounced around the league, got his starting job, made a Pro Bowl, made the playoffs. But if you are the Seahawks, how are you feeling about the long-term viability of Geno Smith? We talked about it a little bit yesterday with the Cowboys, right? How do you feel about the long-term viability with Dak Prescott? The difference is the Cowboys paid Dak Prescott a lot of money. I think Geno got paid, but it's still a fairly team-friendly deal, I believe. And this is where the Geno Smith juxtaposition comes into play. Because currently, right now, the Seattle Seahawks are 4-4. The Seattle Seahawks, though, being 4-4, have lost 4 of their last 5 games, including getting beat up pretty good by the Lions, losing at home to the Giants, losing to the 49ers, who had more players injured than didn't have injured, and then the Bills came in and took your lunch. So the Seahawks are good. They might still make the playoffs because 7 teams do, and it's the NFC. So Seahawks are sitting there at 4-4, and Geno is statistically having a great year. He's at 72% completion percentage this season.
For a while, I think maybe
he was
not after
leading the league in passing yards.
Yeah, I think up until this most recent week where he had a pretty, it's pretty forgettable up there in Seattle this weekend.
He went for 212 this week with
let's see,
no touchdowns, 1 pick. Didn't help.
Dude, he's still leading by 7 whole yards, man. He is ahead of Baker Mayfield. It is pretty much Geno, Baker, Kirk Cousins, Brock Purdy, Lamar Jackson.
This is the Geno Smith problem, though. And I think it's also a problem that we have, not a problem, but it's a reality that we have in sports where we have more statistics at our fingers than ever before. Statistically, Geno Smith is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I watch the Seahawks play every week. I watch the Seahawks and I watch the Steelers. Every week I watch them. You feeling confident about the long-term viability of Geno Smith?
No, and I never have. I mean, I think he was kind of
I'm just saying for Seahawks fans in general who decided, a year ago or even 2 years ago that we are going to rally behind Geno. They wrote him off, but he didn't write back, and that was a cool T-shirt, and then he made the Pro Bowl, and then it's like, all right, well, Pete Carroll was fired, and remember Mike McDonald when he came in, he was very coy about, for right now, and then ultimately they couldn't pick up a quarterback, which might have been the right move, right? Did they want to pay Kirk Cousins $100 million?
You did tell me, though, that making a Pro Bowl isn't it. You have told me that many times.
It's not what it once was.
You have told me that many times, Justin. You're like, All-Pro, Pro Bowl, very different.
Well, that has always been the case.
Yes.
Even though some people who cover sports don't understand the difference between the two, which amazes me. That's your job. You're in sports, but some people don't understand the difference between All-Pro and Pro Bowl. But then also, when they moved the Pro Bowl away from the week after the Super Bowl and made it before the Super Bowl, and it's like, all right, so you've eliminated every player that's playing in the Super Bowl now.
Should still be in Hawaii,
and you've eliminated. Well, they tore down the stadium.
I know. Well, I mean, when they eventually, and things move. Aloha, slow time over there, island time. Whenever that stadium does get built, they got to bring it back.
But when they moved it to before, right, players that were just getting done playing AFC and NFC championship games and lost, they don't want to go play in the Pro Bowl. So their injury can't go. A lot of alternates, like Derek Carr made the Pro Bowl 2 years ago, and the Raiders had basically told him to kick rocks.
2019, Mitch Trubisky made the Pro Bowl.
Mitch Trubisky is a Pro Bowl quarterback.
Just
let that sink in. So, yes, making the Pro Bowl is not. But statistically, Geno's having a great year. You trust him to take you to the playoffs?
Well, here's the thing. Geno's putting up a lot of yards, but you look, he's F1 50-50 on turnovers, Justin.
Yeah,
got
it's not good.
8 touchdowns against 7 picks. You look at those other guys I'm talking about, Baker and Lamar, like, it ain't that, that's not good. And again, I know DK Metcalf just got hurt. That's going to be a struggle, but Metcalf, Lockett, I know he's a little older, and Smith and Jigba, like, that should be a team you're able to throw the ball, and then you got Kenny. Like, that offense, I don't know why they're struggling, Justin, because there's a lot of talent on that offense.
I think you hit it on the head. Geno Smith keeps throwing it to the other team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's got 7 interceptions in 8 games.
That's not good.
You can't do that once a game. You can't be throwing it to the other team. And, look, you got a new coach. You got a whole new regime. You inherited this quarterback. I'm wondering, like, how long does Mike McDonald have in terms of patience for Geno Smith? But the problem is...
Great question.
The problem is, what's your plan if you're the Seahawks? I know the plan of I think I know the plan of the Cleveland Browns, or the Patriots going to go quarterback again, or are they going to stick with Drake May?
They'll ride it out with Drake May.
But the Cleveland Browns want to lose as many games as possible, and they want to go get either Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders, right? That's what they want to do.
Throw Quinn Ewers in there too.
What do you do if you're the Seahawks? Do you know what I mean? Like, what if you're going to be even if you don't make the playoffs, you're going to be drafting in the mid. Like, do you trade up? And what's interesting is,
are we sure
what's interesting is that John Schneider, when he was in Green Bay, John Schneider's GM of the Seahawks, when he was in Green Bay, what did Green Bay always do? Have a quarterback plan. They had Brett Favre there. Brett Favre was wishy-washy. Guess what they did? They drafted Aaron Rodgers. He sat for 2 years because Brett Favre hemmed and hawed and, oh, shucks, my thumb, and throwing passes in my Wranglers and allegedly stealing people's money. But they had a plan. We're going with Aaron Rodgers. And then when Aaron Rodgers got to a certain point, they're like, yeah, we're drafting Jordan Love. We got to have a plan at quarterback.
I mean, they don't need to be...
What's your plan, Seattle?
They don't need to be the worst. I mean, you think about how Denver got Bo Nix at, 12th this last year? Now, it's not going to be that much of a deep quarterback class. But, essentially, Justin, I think it goes back to what we said before the season. And this is not a shot at Seahawks fans. I think it's just the reality of it is. We've learned if you don't have a star, like now the Commanders believe they can win a Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. Why? Because they have a bona fide star under center.
Yes.
If you have a bona fide star, and if you're not winning a Super Bowl, Justin, get busy living, get busy dying, right? So I hate to say it, and I've been saying it for a while, I don't think Geno can take you to a Super Bowl and win you. Can he win the playoffs? Sure. But I don't know if that's the case, and if you're not working towards that with the young team they have.
I could have seen it if Pete Carroll was still the coach, and just like Pete Carroll does it this way, and he likes. But it's like, you got a new coach. You got Ryan Grubb sitting there as a new offensive coordinator, going like, I want to take the lid off this and throw the ball, and I want to throw it like Michael Penix used to throw it, and I can't because he keeps throwing it to the other team.
And the problem that I see too, just to wrap this up real quick, Justin, is the Seahawks, as you mentioned, right now they've already done some damage, winning 4 games. Like there are 10 teams with a better record than that, or worse record than them right now. So you got to probably be inside that top 10 to get a good quarterback.
You got 3 division games, though, coming up back to back to back before you go to the Jets. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. What do we got next? Oh, we've got Make or Miss. That's going to be coming up next here on 620 Rip City Radio. All right, in an hour from now, we're going to talk some hoops with Devon Pouncey. Did you see the? I don't like talking about gruesome stuff, but did you see the guy for the Jazz last night?
I did not. Should I look it up?
No,
no.
How are you with bad injuries?
Pretty. Like it's more like blood that I don't do well with.
Okay,
but like injuries, yeah, I can handle it. Like or as long as it's not like Kevin Ware.
It's not. It was close.
Okay,
that wasn't.
That was pretty bad back in the day.
It was.
I'll have to check it out.
I can't remember who was it. Taylor Hendricks. I mean, yeah. If you're squeamish, don't Google Taylor Hendricks. If you're not squeamish, I mean, have at it. But it was ugly. But we're going to talk some hoops with Pouncey. Not talking about Taylor Hendricks' broken leg, but definitely talk about, the Blazers are now into the season. We got some other things going on in the NBA, so we got some hoops talks with Pounce coming up. We also have a Get Off My Lawn. We got to talk about some collectible glasses. That's what we're doing now. We got collectible glasses. Now, they're not a Dairy Queen. You got to go to the game to get these, right?
I know.
You can't just go get a dilly bar.
Or can I go to Fred Meyer and get them? Come on, we went to the Fred Meyer to get the TV antennas, Justin. We could do it. Partner with their boys. But yeah, you actually got to go physically to Moda. And then I learned, Justin, still not a guarantee. For a 20,000-seat arena, you got to be one of the first 7,777 people in the building. That's like the first third. It's not even a guarantee.
But I love it. You know what? We should be doing more of this.
I complain.
When I was a kid, you wanted to get stuff. You wanted to get like a bobblehead, or if like when I went to minor league baseball, when I went to the Eugene M's game down in Eugene, not just a clever name, and you wanted a hat on hat night, or you wanted a commemorative glove on glove night, you had to show up early. You had to stand in line. You can't just go on and just Amazon them. You had to show up early for painter's cap night.
I think my favorite tweet that I saw yesterday was the first reply to the Blazers announcing it, saying, "Yeah, I'm not going to go to the game, but just let me know how much someone wants to sell them for because I'll buy them." So I was like, yeah, these things are going to be hotter than cash, Justin.
Nostalgia is the best. It really is. It is the best. Like, who would have thought back in the 90s that whoever decided, let's take the Blazers players, make like a fun-looking cartoon, throw them on some commemorative glasses, which were a thing, and then they were not a thing for a long time. And maybe I guess they're coming back because we don't like plastic. But commemorative glasses were everywhere. You get commemorative glasses at McDonald's. That was back when parents didn't care about safety. Brenden, you went as a kid from a sippy cup to like, here's just a glass of water. It's like, yeah, but could it break? Yeah, it might. Don't drop it then.
Yeah, we had a lot of plastic.
Yeah.
We had a lot of plastic.
You were a toddler. You had like a sippy cup. And then once you were old enough to when the lid came off, we just gave you a glass. Here you go. Here's a glass of milk. Don't drop it. They'll break.
I remember a lot of plastic
Dairy Queen
cups.
glasses were for kids.
Yeah.
We're just giving kids glass. And you know what? We should. That's how you learn. Anyways. So we got that to talk about.
Nowadays, Justin, a kid would drop it and go, "Oh, oops. Mom, Dad, clean it up, please."
Dude, that was the worst. Broken glass.
Yeah, broken glass is tough, man. It's still one of those things that like gives me anxiety now because I have a dog and a cat, right? Little paws, and I walk not barefoot, but sock foot around my house quite often.
Is your house a no-shoe house? Is it a no-shoe house or not?
I am pretty. It's funny. So I am pretty on it, and then my mom and my brother will sometimes put me through my paces. I'm like, why do you have your shoes upstairs? So but
you know what? Sometimes like you go to people's houses and they're like, would you mind taking your shoes off?
Not that bad, but like in general, yes. If you're going to go upstairs and walk on our carpet, you should take off your shoes. Like that's pretty darn, like our whole bottom floor is hardwood. So no biggie there. But yeah, you're going up our stairs. I don't want your.
You would ask, I think we've had this conversation before. I feel like I'm having deja vu.
Are we?
But like, so you throw a Christmas party at your house, and you invite me, and somehow, some way, I go. Yeah. I decide to go.
Yeah, sounds like fun,
I decide
man.
to get off my couch.
We'll have some eggnog.
And I decide to go, and I'm like, hey, Brenden, bathroom's full. Where's the upstairs? Would you kindly mind taking off your shoes?
I would. I would.
Okay.
I would. No,
hold on real quick.
But it's not.
Not going to a
like,
party at Brendan's house.
I have made family members take off shoes, Justin. So it is. I'm just a person that, like, I've heard the, and maybe I'm alone with this. I've kind of heard the pitfalls for years and years. Like, I want to say we're like 3 years into this carpet we just put in this house. And do you buy the theory of like that bare feet is actually worse on carpet than shoes? Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Maybe this is something we'll continue in the mailbag. But I was like, I've always heard forever that people are like, oh, carpet is just so disgusting, right? And I'm like,
it's like a sweater you never wash.
And I'm like, I don't know, man. I kind of like the carpet feeling on my socks and how I feel. Like, I really like carpet. I'd be the weirdo that would have maybe a whole carpeted house. It's like
I am anti-carpet.
Yeah, yep, I know. We've had this talk.
Rip it up. Get it out. All right.
So when you get out of bed, Justin, and your bare feet hit the cold floor.
I have a rug.
Okay.
Got a rug under my bed.
Fair enough. Okay. Rug. But yeah, like I gotta hit the carpet, man.
I think it's just because I run hot. Like I run hot in general.
I run cold. Yeah.
I do not like. I've never because I hear like, oh, it's got heated floors, and I've never walked into a bathroom with bare feet and been like, oh, burr, my feet are cold.
Oh, I have
so
many times.
It's never happened to me.
Yeah, that's funny. That's the hot and
like
cold
outside, thing. Yeah, but like to where I would like, I want to put a heated floor in the bathroom. I'm like, that's a waste of $8,000.
See, now I guess we're finding things out, Justin. So now I figure out why you do the things that you do, and now you look at me and you go, well, Brenden runs cold. Maybe that's how he can go to Florida and not be hot.
Yeah, so, I run so hot.
So,
I'm running hot
it's
right now.
Fascinating. But yeah, we might have to check.
We're a long-sleeve hoodie in the studio. I'm already pitting out.
We might have to have a carpet discussion in the mailbag, so we'll get back to that.
Zero zilch. Get it out. All right, let's get to not the mailbag. That's a ways away. We have got Make or Miss. Here we go.
Yeah, Justin, you're already trying to wish us to the mailbag in hour number 2? We got...
Well, I mean, Make or Miss, mailbag.
I know.
Segments where we fire it up. It's an M, but it's still super dark outside, I guess.
It is. That's going to be...
noticed it.
That's going to be
We've fallen back this weekend?
All right.
We've fallen back this weekend?
We are?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Jiminy Christmas.
Yeah. I'm like, you're, Justin, you're only the...
Why are we falling back? Why?
Other than like in general pop culture, let's just do a little quick story time with nephew Brenden over here. To this day, other than in pop culture and what Justin just said, there's only one other person in this world that I've ever hear someone say "Jiminy Christmas" as like a frustration. Mm-hmm. Do you know who that is?
I have no idea.
Mike Riley. That was one of his favorite. Oh, I can remember him yelling that.
I would be saying another phrase if I was not on the air. But, I feel like I should keep it family friendly at 7:30 in the morning. So
of course, but no,
I drop a Jiminy Christmas every once in a while.
There were, that was like, it would be like, man, just the things that you can't even explain to people now. Justin, you used to be able to go to a football practice. This was only as recently as 2014. In the middle of practice, be like, Mike, what's up? How are you? Oh, good. You want to sit here, stand next to me, watch practice? Oh, Jiminy Christmas, guys. Come on. We got to play better than that. It's like, gosh, nowadays they'd be like, you're not going to talk to the coach but one day a week. And if you don't like that, then you can kick rocks. And, you can never stand next to him at an open practice. So
it's a different time, man.
What a difference a decade makes, Justin.
Like Mike Bellotti ran open practice his entire career, won a couple of conference titles doing it as well. Do you see Lincoln Riley's closing practice now?
That's not surprising.
No, that's a USC thing,
wait, so
too.
Long
USC used to open up practice all the time, and they used it as a recruiting tool.
Snoop and all those guys.
Well, it's like, hey, high school kids are really good at football. You want to come watch our practice and not count as a recruiting visit? And you could come every day if you'd like. Snoop Dogg might be there, and now Lincoln Riley's like, nope, shut it down.
Yeah,
that's a smart move, Lincoln.
I think that's a
way to go.
Yeah, I think that's bad because if there's one thing, and again, like Justin said, probably a week
just
or so.
Think about like all the free resources you have of Southern California football players, and you could have them come watch your practice. Obviously, it's football season, but like you just open practice,
right?
You don't have to do all. It's like, come watch it.
I think back to one of my very favorite 30 for 30s, Trojan War, one of my all-time favorites. I absolutely love that one. And like Justin said before, if you look at it, really, USC has had one good coach in how many years? Right?
About 30.
So
yeah.
I step back and I think back to that. And when Pete Carroll said, it had been so bad here, we needed to change the culture, all this, and he's like, I opened it up to L.A. And I can't remember if it was Lundale White or Dominique Byrd. One of the two is like, L.A. and USC had everything. You had the appeal of Heisman winners. You had, I remember they're just like pretty blunt. They're like, if football is your thing, you have football. If girls are your thing, it's got girls. If the beach is your thing, we got this. If this, if that, if acting, right, getting into commercials is your thing. And I think when you're starting to do things like leaning out of being in LA, like, okay, if you're UCLA and you don't want to lean into like the Hollywoodness of it, I go, okay, cool. That's not really your brand anyway. But USC, they are Hollywood. John Wayne played on the football team, Justin.
And I can understand why some of these coaches, including Dan Lanning, want to shut everything down. And it's a new world now. Again, you talk about Mike Riley and Mike Bellotti. We didn't have cameras in our pockets.
Those are dinosaurs now, Justin.
You know what I mean? We didn't have cameras in our pockets where we could film everything and report everything. And you could, if you were industrious, you could infiltrate and do all of that. So I guess I get part of it. I don't know. I just think in L.A., I think it's a net positive. But either way, not what we're here to talk about. What do we got in our first make or miss?
Well, we got to start here, and I send up a little prayer for our good friend Travis Demers, who is the biggest Yankee fan that I know.
Yep.
But it's a really bad time to be a New York sports
fan. Boy, it's okay. Is it worse?
The Jets are terrible. The Yankees are terrible.
Okay, what's worse? The Jets and the Giants, who objectively stink, or the Yankees are good? They're just losing the World Series.
They blew it. I mean they were favored.
They blew it. The Dodgers are a better team right now. I mean, it's not like you're losing to the Diamondbacks, right? You're losing to the Dodgers, right? And I guess the worst part of it is Aaron Judge hasn't showed up, right? I think Aaron Judge went over last night. He is in a World Series funk of all funks.
Let's put
So I just wonder, like, and I get it, right? I've had my team lose in the World Series a lot. Growing up as a kid, it stinks. It's not fun, but it's way more fun than having your team not in it, I guess.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
But is it worse to just have your team stink and you can be like, the Jets stink? Or is it worse to have expectations that, hey, the Yankees might win the World Series for the first time since 2009, and it's like, nope, you're not going to now.
You have to parcel it out. Jets and Giants know because they're used to it. The Yankees, it had been such a gap from 2009. I'm not saying even the Giants have made the playoffs since then. Jets, well, that's just, no one in New York is really a Jets fan. I believe that.
No, it's a whole thing there. Like, and if you're from New York, I apologize if I get this wrong. But I think it's more like Long Island and like outside of Manhattan. Into Long Island, that's Jets. It's a kind of a regional thing.
I will
there is a whole
hand up. Don't
old school because the Jets used to be the AFL,
right? Yes,
way back in the day, and like you would pick one team or the other. So there are, I think, a lot of Jets. I think they're Long Island, the Long Island post World War II suburbs is a lot of Jets fans.
Okay, interestingly enough. But yeah, so I'm just
I could have that wrong. If I'm wrong and you're from New York and I'm just talking completely out of my backside, you can feel free to tweet me at Justin Myers 541 or X me.
I mean, do you
that sounds bad. Don't do that. That sounds terrible.
But no, like, do you think, like, I look at this, Justin, and I think of my younger brother who's a diehard Yankee fan and told just about everyone that would listen to him leading up to this that Yankees going to roll. And I look at it as like I know that the narrative was it would be a pretty good series, but the narrative kind of was, especially with the Dodgers pitching just like lack of depth is kind of their issue. It was, well, Dodgers got to rely on the bullpen. Yankees got Judge, Stanton, Soto, just all these dudes. And, Justin, I think we're going to be making not Morgan Wallen, but give me the New York equivalent version of the 24 Yankees.
Yeah, it's not good.
They made it. They made the World Series first time since, 2009, I think?
Yes.
And they won that one, obviously.
And it was all set up for them, and,
Just seems
and then Freddie Freeman ripped their heart out in Game 1.
They could have won game one.
I mean, game one was right down to the wire, and then Freddie Freeman hit the grand slam, which was.
Justin's like, I'm so torn mentally with that.
Usually when a guy leaves my team, it makes me mad, and when Freddie left, it made me sad because it was like I love.
He was a turncoat for a good 24 hours on this program.
He was.
And I respect it and love it, Justin.
Because I want him to be a Brave his entire life. I want him to be a lifetime Atlanta Brave. He was a hero of the World Series 3 years ago. Now he's a hero in another World Series. We're Dodger blue. Ugh. Anyways, good for Freddie. He's going MVP, by the way.
Can I?
He's one of the all-time good guys in baseball, too.
Is he MVP?
Freddie Freeman. He's got 3 home runs in the series. He hit the walk-off grand slam and won. I think he's winning MVP.
Was he MVP of the Braves series when they won, or no?
No.
Yeah, I'm surprised that doesn't come
Why
right off.
is that not directly implanted in my brain?
But no, I was
Solar? Solar win MVP?
Might have. Let's see.
Did we? Who won? I want to say it was Jorge Solar. Now, he hit the big home run against the Astros. But Freddie Freeman's going to win it this year.
Yep, you got it.
Is Jorge Solar? Okay.
You got it.
Whew.
You
Not
got
losing
it.
my marbles yet.
So, but yeah, I mean, crazy enough, now, Justin, we're going to look, and again, I don't like to put the cart before the horse, but considering that no MLB team has ever come back from 3-0 in a championship series, Dodgers can kind of start planning the parade, Justin. And that's, you count that with the COVID title.
Well, the COVID title doesn't count.
Regardless.
Doesn't count.
Still 2 titles in 4 years.
They played 40 games that year.
That's kind of impressive for baseball.
I would hope they would win some titles. They spend about $1 billion in payroll and just buy all the best players.
I feel the same way you do about salary cap and all that. But I look back and, Justin,
I
don't
mind the no salary cap, but just when it hurts my team. when it benefits my team.
Unfair yet fair. But I just look at it as you and I have talked about before. The hardest postseason to win is baseball.
Yeah.
And I think
100%.
the fact that Dodgers have done it twice in 4 years, it will be a cool accomplishment for them and that organization. Shohei's a champ, so that'll put him into a new category.
I will say, well, it has nothing to do with the baseball. Zero to do with the baseball. Did you see Game 2, Ice Cube walking out from center field, singing "It Was a Good Day"?
I must have missed that one.
Yeah. So Ice Cube is doing "It Was a Good Day" to open up Game 2 after Freddie Freeman hits a walk-off grand slam in Game 1. I mean, the fans are going ballistic as much as Dodger fans can go ballistic. Surprised they got there on time. I'm being bitter. And then, so the Yankees brought out Fat Joe, and Fat Joe, who's not fat anymore, he's on Ozempic, but Fat Joe has got some absolute bangers. And let's just say it did not go well. And everybody's like, series is over right there. Ice Cube just ended it in Game 2.
It's just weird because this is not the Yankee team that we saw kind of dominate the Mets just up and down.
Mm-hmm.
And, right? I have that right? They beat the Mets? Or am I got them reversed?
No. The Dodgers beat the Mets. The Yankees beat the Guardians.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. The Guardians. I was like, the Yankees, it's weird because,
it's so funny.
Sorry.
And please take this in the spirit it's intended. You have grown up in such an interleague baseball world because the Mets being in the National League would obviously never play the Yankees in anything other than the World Series. But it's not your fault because you grew up in a world where everybody plays everybody.
It's true.
I still every once in a while forget which teams in the AFL and which teams or in the AFC and which teams in the NFC.
It's fair.
But when I was growing up, they never played each other. And
right, yeah.
But they play interleague all the time. And so it's not your fault. It's
but no, thank you.
It's Bud Selig's fault because he created interleague baseball. But it's just funny to me because in a world where you have grown up with so much interleague baseball, you're like, was it no, but it's not your fault.
I appreciate that. Like I said, I do not want to be like, Brenden, do you even know who they played last round? And I'll be honest, I didn't really start zeroing in on postseason baseball until now because there's a lot of college football going on. But yeah, I mean, nevertheless, Justin, I kind of went into this World Series, and you know this, I wasn't particularly jazzed for. I was like, 2 teams I really don't want to see win. And that hasn't really changed for me, but it's just like, if I were to pick a team I'd like to see lose, I think it'd be the Yankees.
See, I'm the opposite. I would have rather seen the Dodgers lose, but they're not going to lose.
But fair. Well, who knows, Justin? Put it in the universe. Yankees, the first team to come back from 3-0.
Not happening. I don't know if you've been watching. They cannot hit at all. Aaron Judge is in just an absolute
slump. It
happens,
man.
Slump, man.
Bad timing.
Tough times for Aaron Judge. All right, we have got Get Off My Lawn coming up. But before we do, Cash for the Six Man, it is back. That's right. Listen for keywords each and every weekday from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. on the 15s for your chance to win $1,000 13 times a day. Get all the details at ripcityradio.com. All right, Get Off My Lawn coming up next, 620 Rip City Radio. Let's wrap up hour number 2. It is gloomy. It is hazy. Is it hazy in the winter?
Foggy.
Can it be hazy's more of a summer thing?
Yeah,
right?
I think so.
It's
I think you get a
it's
little bit
either
more
way.
low clouds.
It's not clear outside. It is gloomy. And sometimes with the weather, boy, it took a real sharp turn like 2 weeks ago. Well, heck, Saturday I was watching Oregon play football at Austin Stadium in a t-shirt. It's on Saturday. So the weather just flipped on us on a dime in the last 2 weeks, and it can get us a little bit grumpy around this time of year, especially because it stays dark. Rather than keeping all that negativity, and we want to let that out. Now, also, part of this segment is me coming to terms with my my inner middle-aged dude. I feel like I'm handling it in a very healthy way by talking about a lot of stuff. But I remember when I was Brendan's age, and I was like, I'm always gonna listen to the cool music, and and then all of a sudden it's like, weird little things make me excited. I had an old middle-aged old guy excitement thing happen to me yesterday, and a grumpy old man take. Let's get to the music. Let's get off my lawn. You find this out when you are lucky enough to kind of be somewhat financially secure. When I was younger, anything that broke, I freaked out about because everything's just dollar bills, right? Just dollar bills. That's dollars going out. And if it's something that you needed and it broke and you had to fix it. Now, I'm not saying that I get excited when big things break, large ticket items. That's no fun for anybody. But Brenden, I found out yesterday, when little things break, I kind of get excited because I get to buy a new one. I make a protein smoothie every day after the show for breakfast. That's what I make every day. I'm a weirdo. I eat the same food every day. It's my thing. We could probably dive deep into my psyche as to why I do that, but I eat the same thing every single day. And I make myself a banana, chocolate, almond butter with protein powder smoothie, and I fire up the blender and I've had some bad luck with some blenders. Probably because blenders aren't supposed to be used every single day as much as I use them, on top of using it for every other day blender stuff. So I run through blenders pretty fast. Yesterday, smoothied it up, went to give it an extra little punch because, you don't want, chunky stuff in your smoothie. You want it smooth. It's in the name. Hit it. Blender crapped out. It was over. Blender crapped out. Now, most of the time.
No, that stinks.
See, now you would think I would have that thought. Now, luckily, my breakfast smoothie had already been blended enough to where it was edible. You would think I would be like you and be like, oh, man, that's I got so excited to buy a new blender yesterday. I was looking online. Then I did something that I know you're really going to look at me side-eye about. I found the best blender for the best price. Just happened to be at Costco. Now, I was at Costco on Sunday. You heard me talk about the Costco line cutter guy yesterday. Did I go to Costco because I needed the blender this morning? I could have ordered it online and got free delivery, but it wasn't going to get here until tomorrow. I needed it this morning because, God forbid I eat something different in the morning. So I went to Costco, bought one item. Bought one. Walked in, blender, self-checked out. Dink. Everybody's looking at me weird like, sir, are you just buying one item at Costco? Yeah, I am. But yeah, I'm to the point now where of my age, not big ticket items, but when stuff breaks, I get kind of excited because I get to buy a new one. And it's like, yep, new blender. What are we going to do? There's a lot of technology in blenders. Now, I didn't do the crazy expensive, the Vitamix. But I got myself a nice blender. I'm very excited for it in a couple hours when I fire that bad boy up. I'm pretty pumped about it. Yeah, one item at Costco yesterday. Now, as far as what made me a little bit grumpy yesterday, football perspective. Usually we do real life stuff on Get Off My Lawn instead of football stuff. How's George Pickens' second touchdown that was taken away not a catch? How is it we're still in 2024? And in the world of football, we still cannot determine what is and is not a catch because unless you are an absolute rules nerd, everybody that was watching Monday Night Football last night, and maybe you were flipping around from the World Series, maybe you were going back and forth to the Blazer game on the antenna, but everybody who was watching that game, and I'm like, Steelers touchdown, went to go wrap up some stuff before, and Kelly from the living room, she's like, yeah, they're overturning it. And I'm like, there's no way they're overturning this. He got 2 feet in. Did you know that if you skip on 1 foot and get right foot down twice, if you're watching on YouTube, yes, I'm skipping, twice, that does not count as 2 feet? So let's get this straight. In the NFL right now, Brenden, an elbow on the ground counts as 2 feet, correct? If you catch the ball...
As does a bum.
Yeah. You elbow, shoulder, right hip, knee. One of them. You only need one of them. Isn't it harder to jump on 1 foot twice?
Yeah, without a doubt.
Wouldn't it be harder to do what George Pickens did last night and jump twice to get 2 feet in bounds? But apparently, no, that's not a catch. So by rule, I saw this again on the internet last night. By rule, you could catch a ball and hop 20 times on your left foot down the sideline. And if you don't get that right foot inbounds, that is an incomplete pass. First off, learned that. I was yesterday years old when I knew that. Second off, we got to change that rule. Now, is it just because it was the Steelers and it was also a 6-point spread and these field goals weren't making me feel all that great? And Russ was kind of cooking and he deserved a couple more touchdowns than just the one that he threw last night? Sure. But how do we get to the place where two hops on 1 foot doesn't count as getting 2 feet in bounds? He literally pogoed on one leg as he's getting hit to hit the other one. So here we are once again in 2024, and we don't know. Well, I guess we do know. It's not a catch. But before yesterday, Brenden, if you would have quizzed average football fan and showed them the clip of that George Pickens now incomplete pass, how many football fans do you think would watch that clip and be like, oh, yeah, that's definitely a touchdown? 90%?
Not that much.
You don't
50,
think so?
Maybe 50.
Am I being biased
I'd go
here?
50-50.
70-30? You give me 70-30?
You are the person who was excited to go buy a new blender and go to Costco yesterday,
Just
so that takes away at least 20%, in my opinion.
Because I was excited to buy a new blender? Or because I bought one item at Costco and you're now judging me?
Both. Without a doubt. I mean, I'll be open and honest. I love you, Justin, but you went to Costco twice in 48 hours.
I really did. I had to get a blender.
But at least,
had to get a blender.
But you know what's, well,
needed it this morning.
Had to, or you could have broken your precious routine.
Had to get a blender.
Okay,
that's not even a question.
Yes.
Breaking my routine. I feel some snark coming out of you, by the way, about my precious routine. I sense some snarkiness.
I'm just saying because
your precious routine.
And I bet you, I'm just going to say this too, I bet you it was a glorious experience to go into Costco and not fight the madhouse on a Sunday, was it?
It was still pretty madhousey.
Okay,
It was
early
afternoon on a Monday. It wasn't like
okay. Because I have
the rest of my precious routine, which is going to the gym and everything else, and taking the dog for a walk. So yeah.
But yeah, I'm just saying, it's I can say that if the rules were reversed, Justin, I've been like, I'll get the blender when I can get the blender.
Yeah. Nope, had to do it yesterday. Did it. I feel very excited. I'm like an hour and a half away from Brenden with my new blender. I'm excited about it. We have got something else I'm excited about. Hour 3 coming up next, 620 Rip City Radio.
8 a.m. on a Tuesday. Brenden Slaughter with you for Rip City Mornings. And Trailblazers fell to the Sacramento Kings 111-98 with DeAndre Ayton leading the way with 20, but Portland was ice cold beyond the three-point line last night. Over in baseball, the Dodgers took a firm grip on the World Series, the 4-2 win over the Yanks in Game 3 in the Big Apple. Do the Yankees have any fight left in them, or are the Dodgers going to be a team to win at an opposing opponent's ballpark? We'll see tonight. And Pittsburgh wrapped up the NFL slate with a 26-18 win over the Giants on Monday Night Football. They moved to 6-2 on the year and now lead the AFC North. Meanwhile, the Giants fall once again. Coming up on the big show, we're going to catch up with Devon Pouncey in about 20 minutes. We've got a whole lot more to talk about here in the final hour. You got Rip City Mornings.
Hey, welcome back to Rip City Mornings, everybody. Hopefully you are all having a fantastic Tuesday. If you are new to the show, hey, thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. If you like what you hear, would you mind telling a friend? Maybe tell two. If you are a returning customer, hey, thanks for coming back. Whether it is just a 5-minute drive to drop off the kids, or if you are a 3-hour diehard or anywhere in between, we appreciate each and every one of you. Couldn't do it without you, and we appreciate all of you. YouTube, how's YouTube doing? YouTube's back up. Feeling good about it. YouTube's had some glitches the last couple of weeks, but it feels like we've got our handyman fixing that, and I got a little comfortable not being on YouTube for a while. Now I got to remember, it's right there. Don't be picking your nose in the middle of the segment. That's probably the biggest thing, like biggest transition from just doing normal radio to having like YouTube is just like, don't pick your nose, Justin. So anyways, thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. Devon Pouncey is going to join us in approximately 20 minutes. Talk some basketball. We have also got the RCM mailbag. Brenden sent me this yesterday. Blazers bringing back the commemorative glasses. So the Blazers tweeted this out. New commemorative glassware series featuring Donovan Clingan, Scoot Henderson, Shaden Sharp. So help me out, Brenden. Is this just a giveaway? Are these going to be available throughout the season?
3 different games. That's it.
3 different games.
That's it. So one game's the Klingon game. One game, I forget what it. One
gotcha.
game is the Scoot game. One game's the Shaden game. And then the only thing I do know for sure is that one of them's the NBA Cup game. One of them, I think, is the Clippers, and I forget what the other one was. And only the first 7,777 fans make it in. So shout out the sevens, the Blazers.
Okay, here's my question. You mentioned the NBA Cup. Am I a bad radio host because I still don't know how the NBA Cup works, or did they make this thing just way too complex? Because
would it make me a bad radio producer to say it doesn't really? What's the best way to say this? Doesn't really get me going, Justin. If that's like, it's kind of like meh. NFL football. Like I'm a person that it's really hard for me to really kind of dive nose deep into the NBA beyond, of course, our Trailblazers. Until like the new year kicks off. That's just how it is.
But like it's not going anywhere. They're going to keep doing the NBA Cup.
I know. And I'm just kind of out on it.
But I'm not in on it either, but I feel like obviously it's a job of ours to pay attention to these things. I don't know how it works. And people have explained it to me, and I still don't quite know how it works. I know that there's going to be courts, like special courts, that they're going to, and I think the Blazer one looks kind of cool. But yeah, it's very, very, very complex. I think they made something, and they overthought this one in the NBA office, but you know what? They're just stubborn enough to go like, nope, it'll catch on. People will figure it out. But so here's the interesting things about the Blazer glasses, which, by the way, are awesome. The renderings are really cool. Interesting that they went with the 3 young guys. I guess it's not interesting. It makes all the sense in the world because if there is going to be any members of this particular team who we know are likely going to be around for the foreseeable future. And by that, I don't even mean this season. I mean the next couple of years. Shaden, Scoot, and Klingon, the 3 first-round draft picks from the last 3 years. Pretty safe guys to put on the commemorative glasses, but isn't it interesting that the Blazers don't have I love these guys, and I like that the Blazers are building up a young core and hopefully continue to build around those guys, and hopefully those guys continue to develop, which we're going to be talking about throughout the season. But Anthony Simons and Jeremy Grant are the Blazers' best players. And they don't have commemorative glasses. Do we read between the lines on these? Because maybe those guys aren't going to be around when didn't they have that one time? Didn't they do like a Dame giveaway after we traded away Dame? Wasn't there something like that? I know they've done it in baseball before.
Yeah, I don't recall.
I know in baseball they've done it before where they have like a so-and-so's bobblehead night, and it's like, yeah, he got traded away at the deadline. And
this is the least surprising thing ever. And it's like, if this doesn't tell you who the core of this basketball team is, again, to all the pearl-clutching Blazer fans out there, notice how Anthony Simons, not on a glass.
It is interesting.
Notice how Jeremy Grant, not on a glass.
Jeremy Grant, I understand, but Anthony Simons, he's their best player, arguably most popular player.
See, I don't know if Anthony Simons is better than Jeremy Grant. I push back on that a little bit.
I don't know. Maybe we're 3 games into the season. I just think in terms of, I guess, trade value, I don't know. Either way.
I mean, big, tall guys that can shoot threes are more valuable than little guys who can shoot threes, and that'll always be the case. So.
Okay. I don't know if there's much of an argument here. Anthony Simons, most popular player on this team?
Sure.
Most popular player on this team?
Sure.
It might be Scoot one day. It's not right now. I think Anthony Simons is the most popular player.
Could be Klingon, man. That kid's getting some popularity here.
I love Donovan Klingon.
Yeah, in P-Town, man. He's getting some popularity.
I love Scoot, too. I hope, ultimately it gets to a point where, yeah, you can build around these guys. It's just we're still in the vegetable eating stage, as I keep talking about. But, yeah, it was interesting that Anthony Simons, who is, if not their best player, a top player on the team, and is arguably the most popular player on this roster, one of the most beloved players on this roster, he didn't get his own commemorative glass.
And that tells me everything all of us have thought for the better part of a year.
Now, maybe is it something like they did it last year?
They don't factor into the team's long-term equation. There's 3 players that factor into the long-term equation, I think, and it's coincidentally the first-round draft picks of the last 3 drafts. Wait, The drafts that Joe Cronin drafted? Oh, so it's almost too.
But it's
easy.
also just smart marketing, right? You want
That
this team is going to be built around these 3 guys.
Right.
We've been talking about it all the time, and it also kind of shows marketing is always going to be different than the coaching, right? The marketing department can see this is kind of where we're headed. I remember growing up, my favorite one, though. Did you ever have the commemorative glasses, or did you just hear tale of them?
Tale. The coolest thing I ever had was the Beanie Babies, man. Oh.
What were the Beanie Babies?
Oh, yeah. I had the full starting 5, dude. I had Damon Stoudemire, Detlef Schrempf, Scottie Pippen, Derek Anderson, not Derek Anderson, football player, Derek Anderson, basketball player. Look him up. This guy named the Kobe Stopper, Ruben Patterson, somewhere in a box. My Beanie Babies are still existing.
Did they give those away at the game, or did you have to go to McDonald's or something?
I do not remember. I'd have to ask the old mom and dad for that one, Justin, because your boy was 5 and 6 when those players were playing for the team. I just remember it was a cool little Blazer doll that you could have, and Mighty Mouse had the little Mighty Mouse tattoo on his arm, and that was pretty cool. But no, glasses. As you know, Justin, these glasses came out before I was born, so it's more of a.
I'm trying to remember when
they never did it in the 2000s.
When they stopped doing it.
I don't believe they did it in the 2000s. I think that's when they moved to the Beanie Babies and other stuff.
Because I think everybody wanted the Clyde Drexler. Jerome Kersey one was my favorite.
Yeah,
growing because I think everybody kind of had their favorite, and Clyde was the most popular one. But the Jerome Kersey one was my favorite because it was the cartoon of Jerome Kersey, and he had the glass. He had Windex. And he was wiping off the backboard, and I remember talking to my dad, and I'm like, what is this about? And he's like, yeah, he's cleaning up the glass. He's grabbing rebounds. That's how I learned that cleaning up the glass was rebounding.
Not bad.
And
Not
I
bad.
instantly was like, all right, that one's my favorite. Also, Jerome Kersey did Bust a Bucket, and he was the coolest. Like of the old Rip City Blazers, Drexler was the best. Kersey was the coolest.
I have to.
He was a cool one.
For sure. And I think in a bigger sense, Justin, I gotta, I've been less than complimentary at times on how these last couple difficult years the Blazers have approached certain things as far as fan, relations and making fan experiences great and all that. I'll say this. They've taken 2 huge steps. I know that there are probably still going to be some eye rolls, but Justin, for how easy it is to find the Blazers on TV now. Like
it's the best thing.
So that's a major win. Like I haven't had to touch my antenna since I moved it. So just a heads up.
See?
Haven't even had to touch it.
It's the honest to goodness. And I don't say I'm not here to carry the Blazers water. I don't work for the Blazers. I work here at the radio station. We are the Blazer station, but I don't work for the Blazers. That being said, their move from cable to over-the-air TV, and I know it's not a perfect move because there is no perfect move. There just isn't. There isn't a perfect way to do it. It is the best move that this organization has made, non-player acquisition-wise, in the last 20 years, maybe even more.
Not more important than drafting Dame.
That's why I said non-player acquisition.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. I mean, you're right. Probably. I mean, no coach was as consequential as that. But anyway,
but going from a place where honestly no one was watching your product to where now it
was that because of them not being good or lack of? Because I think you have to look at that too, Justin. The last 2 years have been tough.
It was everything though, because people were cutting the cord before last year. Obviously, I stuck around because of the Blazers, but people were cutting the cord. Already before that, and regional sports networks are not just regional sports networks struggling all across the country, and the fact that Comcast on the last minute made it to where you had to upgrade and pay more on a team that was clearly trying to draft Donovan Clingan, if you know what I'm saying, right? We knew the realities of even now, we know the realities of this Blazer team this season. We know but it's still fun to watch. It's still good to tune in and check out. Like, hey, let's see how Scoot's doing tonight. Let's see how Clingan is doing tonight, or even Andrew Jeremy Grant, because while they're not on glasses, they're still on the team. It's still fun to tune in, but it's not fun to see that cable bill every month.
It's true.
And so to me, moving to the antenna thing is one of the best things. And I know it wasn't perfect, and I have a hunch the loud critics of it, I think, is a very small minority.
It took such. It was again a little bit of a journey early. It's like, hey, I'm out of my comfort zone doing this. Got to put some piece of plastic on my wall, or in Justin's case, in front of a picture.
It's tucked right behind a beautiful picture of my wife and I at a lovely wedding we attended.
There you go. So all that to say, like I said, it hasn't moved. It hasn't fallen off my wall. I clicked into it the couple times since, and. That is a one-time cost, Justin. They don't charge me monthly for that.
Exactly.
I'm just saying. To win.
But the other thing, like, Blazer Vision was like half as much as I was paying for cable.
That
for
too.
The entire
Multiple
season,
wins,
too.
people.
The entire
Look at wins.
season, Blazer Vision was like half. And again, I'm not here to carry their water. I'm just saying this whole thing is such a net positive. All right. You know what else is positive? Going to games. How about that? How about going to game for free? Because it's Tuesday, and it's Ticket Tuesday, and this afternoon with Chad and Dwight, they are going to be giving away a pair of tickets to an upcoming Blazer home game because it is Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday. You need to listen each and every Tuesday for your chance to win and get single-game tickets right now at trailblazers.com. Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday here on Rip City Radio. Coming up next, our good friend from the Wake Up and Win podcast, Devon Pouncey, joins us next on Rip City Mornings. All right, Blazer season underway. 3 games in. Also, the NBA now kind of settles in to its first month after the excitement of the opening tip. Now we kind of start the marathon that is the NBA regular season. Joining us now is our good friend. He's from the Wake Up and Win podcast, formerly from a terrific radio show called The Justin and Devon Show. We recreated each and every Tuesday. Devon Pouncey back on the big show. Pounce, what's up, bud? How we doing?
Going on, doing well. How you doing?
I am doing fantastic. I don't know if you saw, the Steelers are awesome. The Ducks are the #1 team in the country. Life is good football-wise for your boy.
Yeah. Sports not treating you bad, particularly football. That's a good life to be living. Wish I could say the same.
I want to dive into this with the NBA because I don't want to overreact to the first handful of games of the season. We talked about this last week with Sean Highkin, and I know I've talked about it for a while now, which is Joel Embiid didn't play opening night. And the NBA was investigating as to whether or not this was an actual thing. And he had even said a couple of times, like, I don't think I'm ever going to play back-to-back. Are we just to the point now, Pounce, where we have to just expect that players of a certain stature are just going to take games off, and that there is never going to be a way the commissioner or the NBA is ever going to be able to roll it back to where these guys who get paid lots and lots of money need to be playing night in and night out?
Yeah, I mean, I think especially considering that most of the time it's not really their decision.
Yeah.
There's a team that comes up with that decision. Obviously, you got your trainers and everything, that the team doctors, all of that's working with these particular players. So I think it's one of those things where, the league is doing well, I think, from an economic standpoint. And these players, there's some pretty massive investments that are going into a lot of these players. And so teams are going to do everything they can to make sure that these guys are available at the times that they need them most. And when you consider how long an 82-game season is, and you consider the fact that some teams may have more potential to be able to play beyond those 82 games in terms of having a postseason, those are things that will be considered, obviously, and first and foremost, prioritizing folks' health. I think, in sports in general, not even just basketball, we've always been expected to sort of like sacrifice our health for the love of the game, if you will, and especially once you get a paycheck connected to it. But now I think we're seeing a little bit of a different approach being taken, understanding, how much is being invested into these players and into these athletes, and that just, running folks into the ground and seeing who ultimately could be the last man standing is no longer really the approach that's being taken. So, yeah, I mean, it's tough, but, it is kind of just where we are now, where, health is being considered first, and not folks just going out there and playing a ball game and maybe, risking and putting their career at risk, being able to have what could be a likely injury as well.
Well, it is interesting you brought up something because I think there are some players, Pounce, that dictate when they shall take time off and when they won't. I think LeBron is probably one of those guys. Embiid, I think, is probably one of those guys. But you're right. There's another part of this that I think sometimes the players kind of have to take the brunt of the criticism that this generation is soft, when it really is like, no, the trainers have shut them down. The coaching staff has shut them down. And the load management thing maybe came from above. So you're right. I mean, it is something that I would be – we're never going to get a straight answer on it. It's just we're never going to. But if I could get into one team's or one organization's kind of war room and get nothing but the truth, I would wonder how much of it is a player thing and how much of it is actually a team thing. Because I think it's more of a team thing than a player thing.
Yeah, I think it's a group decision that's being made. I don't think it's the individual player just waking up in the morning and saying, hey, I'm not playing today. I don't think when you look at the way sports are, and when you look at some of the journeys that a lot of these guys have taken to be able to get here, I don't think that was the mentality that a lot of these athletes have had getting to this point of becoming a professional athlete or becoming a superstar or whatever the case may be. they got out of the bed, they went to work, and they got the job done. And that's why they're some of the people in this rarefied space that they're able to even play at this particular level anyway. I don't think they got here because they took a bunch of days off on the way to get here. So it's definitely, more of a group decision, I believe, and I think it's just unfortunate that sometimes the players do take a lot of the criticism because of it, because they're the ones that got to go out and go in between the lines and play ball. And so, yeah, I think, I don't think it's like a mentality that's been taken on by these athletes solely, and they're going out and making these decisions for themselves. I think there's a lot more that goes into it that a lot of people just don't see. And because of it, they just go immediately to attack the players.
Devon Pouncey, friend of the program from the Wake Up and Win podcast, joining us here on 620 Rip City Radio. I know that there's been talk of like maybe pulling back the regular season at 65 games. I just think the financial part of this, I think, is where people need to be focused. Because I am, and you know this because we're friends, I'm a grumpy old man that is going to sit here and be like, Michael Jordan played 82 games a season, and that didn't stop him from winning rings, and you're never going to convince me otherwise. And also is like, it is a bummer when, you flip on a game like, a TNT national televised game. It's like, oh, it's Wembanyama taking on Embiid, and it's like Embiid's taking the night off. Like, that is a bummer. But on the other hand of it, they got a $77 billion media rights deal. It feels like the advertisers and the people are not all that worried about this. So I do wonder if it is just kind of a grumbly fan of like, boy, back in my day, these guys played every night. It's not hurting the pocketbooks of the NBA, I guess.
Yeah, no, folks are still showing up. There's a lot of talent throughout the entirety of the league. It's just that some of these names you may not particularly be as familiar with and as fond of, but I think in terms of just the general talent pool of the league, it's still the best it's ever been, which is why you may not need to lean so much on the marquee matchups, if you will. Yes, they matter. I'm not excusing that, and I'm not disagreeing with you by any means, because I want to see the stars go head-to-head and just see who battles it out on the floor and is able to come out victorious as well. So I do agree with you on that. But at the same time, this is a really, really, really good league. There's a wealth of talent throughout the entire league, young and old, and I think it's just one of those things where the league has just gotten to a point where they have developed this thing out so well in a lot of cases that, we're just at a more unprecedented time. As you talk about sort of these media rights deals, again, you talk about the talent and you just talk about the way things are kind of playing and shaking out. The league is in the best space it's ever been in my opinion. And so I think this is just, again, kind of coming with the territory that these dudes aren't being looked at as just athletes that just needs to go out there and go play night in and night out. Of course, you want them out there to play, and that's the intention of their job. But at the same time, the investment is just a little bit greater in these guys now, and they're being treated as such. And again, I don't think it's the athletes themselves that are kind of being snobbish, if you will, and putting their nose in the air and saying, hey, I don't feel like playing today. So that's just what it is. I think decisions are being made above them, and they're probably giving feedback on, how it is that they're feeling and stuff like that. But it's not just them making those decisions.
Pounce, I'm going to warn you, and you probably already saw this coming down the pike, but my obsession with Victor Wembanyama continues. I can't stop watching this guy play. It's amazing. The other night, he hit a legit logo three, then did a pump fake, reverse pivot from the free throw line that ended up in a dunk where he actually did not travel. And I know that the Spurs are going to bring him along slowly. They're still continuing to bring him along slowly. But Pounce, I watch in all seriousness, and you know way more about basketball than I do, but I watch, and in all seriousness, I don't know how anybody's ever going to stop him. If he wanted to, and if the Spurs allowed it, and you put like his usage rate at the same usage rate as say Luka is at, I think this guy could be like through the stratosphere when it comes to scoring. I don't know how anybody ever stops this guy.
I mean, yeah, he's like that. You know what I'm saying?
Nuts.
Like, I think he's got a great career ahead of him. He's already got off to a great start to his career, and he's definitely one of those dudes. He's something like we've never seen before in this league in terms of his size and what he's able to do with the basketball. And I know, there are some people that might think a little bit differently than you. That's like, hey, if he's this tall and he's skilled enough, just throw him under the basket time and again. You know what I'm saying? And just let him go to work from the block over and over and over and over and over again. But also being that he can do other things and he can extend and he can, on both sides of the ball, he can extend. He can extend defensively. He can extend offensively. This is just not something that we've ever seen a guy as massive as he is be able to do. But I got to say, Justin, I got to say, everybody's talking Wemby. The guy Shed over there in OKC is a problem. He's a problem. I just got to put that out there. He's a problem.
I mean, is there I remember the draft when Oklahoma City was zeroing in on Chet Holmgren, and I remember sitting and listening to, and I can understand why, because I watched him play at Gonzaga, and he looked like he's too small for the league. I guess is it just that maybe some people like me still have kind of not even a 90s mentality, but like Shaq changed the league because he was so big in the 2000s and the 90s, but mostly into the 2000s, that you had to have big dudes just to be able to deal with Shaq at some point. And then at some point, all those dudes who were brought in to guard Shaq, then the league became inundated with big dudes, and all of a sudden, you have a league. Like, I wonder, everybody said, well, Chet Holmgren's going to have to put on weight. I don't think he's going to. People said Wemby's going to have to put on weight. Pounce, I don't think he's going to have to. I don't know if there is, players in the league that are going to make them actually pay for not being big, and that you can. Kevin Durant made a career out of being 6'11" and skinny. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if these guys are going to have to put on weight. That's just the way the league is.
Yeah, and also guys like Shaq had to have weight because they were taking an absolute beating down there because they couldn't do much else than dominate down low. And that's kind of what I was alluding to about Wemby a few seconds ago, or a few moments ago. But also, I think Shaq's the same deal. It's like, you can't hack a Shaq these guys, because they can actually shoot. They can shoot free throws. They can shoot jump shots. They can do more than what's been expected of big men traditionally in the NBA, or at least in years and decades past. And so, for somebody like Shaq, being massive mattered a whole lot because it allowed for him to be able to just make room for himself to be able to get buckets over and over again. But B, it also helped him be able to try and kind of withstand the beating that teams were putting on him, because there's the hack-a-shack idea. You know what I mean? Just foul him over and over and over again, and instead of allowing him to just get 2 points underneath the bucket, which is hard to stop, just beat him down, wear him down, and make him shoot 40% from the free throw line. You can't take that approach with guys like Wemby and Shed, because they can actually score the basketball and shoot the basketball from the free throw line, or just generally, throughout the flow of play.
Devon Pouncey joining us here on 620 Rip City Radio. Blazers 1-3 to start the season. Took a loss to Sacramento. They got not 1-3. They're 1-2. To start the season, took a loss on the road last night.
They're 1-3.
Oh, 1-3. Yeah. Come on, Justin, do the math. I've only been. You're right. Back-to-back against first off, the NBA. What are they doing with the back-to-back games? The 2 games against the Pelicans kind of smushed together. But anyways, I want to talk about Donovan Clingan. I know, just being a first-round draft pick, being a first-round draft pick for the Blazers, and being a first-round draft pick big man for the Blazers with some history there, Pounce, is something that all Blazer fans are going to be keeping an eye on. I don't know what the expectations are for him this season, but I would say so far so good on the eye test, wouldn't you say? Like, I like what I see when he gets in the game. He looks like an NBA player. He doesn't look like as lost as maybe he looked maybe a little bit in summer league and then in the preseason. So far, first 4 games of the season, I like the eye test for Donovan Clingan.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, and I got to see him a little bit over the summer as well, and I like the eye test in as well. But I think just generally, even, while I know for most fans, you may not – I mean, it's all about wins and losses once you get to this point where you're playing a regular season and games count towards your record. Mm-hmm. And I get that and I understand that. But obviously, as somebody that's been able to kind of see some of the processes a little bit in a little bit of a different light, the development even from then to now, I think has been very impressive. I think, during the summer, just watching him during Summer League, there was a lot more of him trying to kind of figure out the pace and the flow of the game, and really just, being conditioned for that as well. I feel like, he kind of was able to learn a lot over the summer in terms of, okay, this is stylistically what the NBA is like. Of course, the competition rises up quite a bit in terms of just, playing against the top talent in the league once the regular season actually comes around and starts, in comparison to a lot of guys that are using Summer League to try to help get them a shot on training camp rosters and ultimately be able to make some NBA rosters. But stylistically, you learn a lot about what this level is all about. You're playing against nothing but pros. And I think that he was able to kind of learn and grow a lot even during that time span. I also think, he's a guy that he just has some stuff that you can't teach. I was at the first game, and it was a particular play. And
you had some nice seats, by the way. Nice seats.
Say it again?
Oh, you had some nice seats I saw on Instagram. You had a very good vantage point, I would say.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. Not bad. But I went to the first game, and there was a particular play when they were playing against the Warriors, and it was in the first half, and the shot clock was sort of expiring for the Warriors. I think it was Pajemski who had the ball, and he drives into the paint, and he needed to put a shot up because the shot clock was running out. And just as soon as he ran into Klingon, while he should have even just forced the shot up and been willing to accept maybe this shot's going to get blocked because if not, it's going to be a turnover anyway, he just stops in the middle of the paint once he gets into Klingon's space and kind of in his bubble, and he just immediately dribbles a couple times and tries to swing the ball back around, and then the shot clock expires, and that's obviously a turnover. And those are the things that don't particularly show up in the stat sheet, but that speaks to his presence. Guys actually revere having to go up against this dude because he's so big, he's so massive, but he's also really good at using his size to be able to protect the rim ultimately. And so there's little things like that stand out to me, especially for a guy who's a rookie, knowing he's got so much time to be able to develop and reach what will ultimately become his full potential. But things like that stand out to me a lot, and that's one thing that I think the Blazers will be able to really take advantage of as he just continues to grow, develop, get in more shape, get more acclimated to playing at this level and being able to be on the floor for longer spurts of time.
You can hear him on the Wake Up and Win podcast. You can see him all over the Portland metro area spinning on the ones and twos. And you can hear him each and every Tuesday on this particular program. Our good friend from Wake Up and Win, Devon Pouncey. Pouncey, have a great rest of your week. Oh, you got Halloween with the kiddos? Or what do we got? What's the Pouncey house candy of choice? What are we handing out?
Handing out. I'm more of a chocolate guy.
Yeah.
Snickers, Reese's,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Those kinds of things. That's the kind of stuff that we like to hand out around these parts. So more on the chocolate side, more so than the kind of sweeter candy side that doesn't have chocolate in it.
Attaboy.
So, but yeah, I'm a Snickers, Reese's. I am somebody that also likes. What are they? Oh my gosh, I'm blanking here, and I know we got to get out. The Tootsie Roll. I like Tootsie Rolls,
gotcha.
Man. I think in the past you and I have had a disagreement about that.
We have.
But I love handing out Tootsie Rolls. Those are great.
There we go. All right, hey, Pounce, have a great week, bud. We'll talk to you next Tuesday.
Yep, you as well.
There we go, Devon Pouncey. Yeah, the Tootsie Rolls are trash. They are. They're
so horrible.
They're just garbage. But
I love Devon though.
I do. You know what? Here's the thing about this. More Tootsie Rolls for him because I ain't having them. So more Tootsie Rolls.
Tootsie Pop any better for
no.
you?
Mm-mm.
For me, it's an improvement because the rolls are disgusting. At least a pop, you get some fruity flavor in there.
Well, you and the fruity flavors just.
Who likes chocolate?
I just want to just make peanut butter cups just universal and just give them out. All right, let's get to the RCM mailbag. That's next. 620 Rip City Radio. Hey, Rip City Radio wants to give you $1,000 cash for the sixth man. You need to listen for keywords each and every weekday from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. on the 15s for your chance to win $1,000 13 times a day. All the details at ripcityradio.com. All right, let's wrap up the big show and put a lid on the Tuesday edition of Rip City Mornings. But before we do that, let's get to the RCM mailbag.
All right, Justin, firing up the big mailbag here on a Tuesday.
Yes.
I said we talk about it earlier. So tell me why you don't like carpet.
The detriment outweighs the benefit. It's far easier to sweep hardwood floors. I think probably because I have a dog. That's probably it. And I have a dog that, for the most part, is very well housebroken. But every once in a while, it gets a little dicey. Having hardwood floors is very, very nice for that. I'm a spiller by nature. You wouldn't believe it because I know you look at me and you think elite athlete, and I understand why you would think that. But sometimes I'm a bit clumsy.
Elite athlete. You told me you were prom king. Yeah. You were not.
But I'm clumsy.
We were on very different paths. I'll say that.
But I'm a little clumsy. And I spill some stuff every once in a while, and so you eliminate like worrying about that and the carpet cleaning, and it's just I don't know, just the thought of the amount of like stuff that is in that carpet. I'm out. I'm out on all of it.
So you're not cool with it being your stuff? Like no one has been in Brendan's carpet in his room other than Brenden.
Yeah,
Period.
but it's like you think about like where your feet have been. I don't know. It's just
feet without shoes, Justin. That's the key. My shoes never come on my carpet.
I understand. I still don't like it.
Like it's like my shoes walk.
But there's like dust and
like my shoes walk into a bathroom. My shoes walk in anywhere. Why would I ever take that onto my carpet? Gross, yuck, nasty. Like so. That being said, you have your high traffic areas that get worn down and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm out. I've lived in houses with carpet. I had carpet growing up as a kid. We had wall-to-wall carpet. It was the 80s, right? We had the linoleum floor in the kitchen, and then we had the wall-to-wall carpet. And then now, as an adult, yeah, give me the hardwood floors all day.
And
all day.
I'll say this though, Justin.
And I don't like
significantly more expensive to get hardwood floors. Significantly so.
Well, they were already in there when I moved into the house.
No, just in general, for someone who's moving into a new house and you have your choice of hardwood or carpet, that's why most people go with carpet. I would assume, let's look. Do more people have carpet or
But to me, it's like, it feels like it's just a big old sweater that no one has ever washed.
Wow. Okay, so this is interesting. According to a 2019 Hardwood Floors magazine article, 75% of U.S. homeowners have carpet, 51% have hardwood floors.
How does that math doesn't check out? I guess some have both, I guess.
Where it's like you can have both, and like, again, what is, quote, carpet? Can it be a section, right? Because, like I have my 2 stories, like only our upstairs and stairs are carpet. Everything downstairs is hardwood. And
see, it's funny because you talk about how like getting out of bed and like your feet touch the floor, and it's like I do it every morning. I get up and we have an area rug under our bed, but I walk on the hardwood floor down my like I never once have ever thought my feet are cold.
Okay, so you'd never be one of those people who were super bougie and had the heated floors put into their bathroom?
That's what I was saying that earlier. Like, that seems like a waste of $10,000. Like just.
Oh, yeah.
I don't understand it.
Yeah, I'm like, I remember learning about that watching TV shows, being like, oh, wow, there's people who have heated. And I'll say this.
Now, I've been in a hotel room because I've been looking up some nice hotel rooms. I've been in a hotel room that had the heated floors, and it was in the mountains. It was in Sisters. That was kind of cool, but I don't live in the mountains, so.
No, that's fair. That's fair. It's definitely interesting, and yeah, like the I actually have never known anybody that's had heated. It's always just been like that, like bougie thing. If you just have money to blow, that makes sense.
Kelly and I's anniversary is in February. We usually like to go into the mountains.
Are you gonna take a darkness retreat?
Not a darkness retreat.
Oh.
No.
You guys should try that.
Need all the light and electricity and heat you can get, but it's just fun to kind of sit in a cabin in the snow in February and just get out of the city for a bit. So we do that. And we stayed at a fun lodge. And in said lodge, there was some heated floors. That was kind of cool in the snowy mountains. I don't know why anybody would do it like just normal, though.
So now you've intrigued me. What would your wife's reaction be if you said, honey, we're going to go on a darkness retreat?
Yeah, she'd be out.
For
She'd be
about,
like, I'll see you.
Like, even like a solid day. Like, could you make, like we talked, like, could you make it a day, Justin?
Like, what's the benefit?
No, I'm just asking. Like, physically, do you think you could? Like, I don't think I could.
Like,
so I say I'm out.
If life was on the line or, like...
you got a ton of money.
Or life-changing money is on the line?
Yeah, you got like 10 grand per day. How many days could you do it? Ooh, now we're getting somewhere.
That's a good question. I could do 2 days. I think I could do 2 days.
With no tech, no light.
Nothing.
They just bring your meals and
just
shove
sit,
them on the floor.
How much? Okay, here's my question in about 30 seconds. How much food do I get to eat, and do I get booze?
No booze, 3 meals a day, though. Because I remember that. It was a very nothing but water.
Because to me, it's not the darkness or it's the boredom.
Yeah.
And if I have food, I could circumvent the boredom.
Exactly.
But now I'd also have to, like, search around, like, where did those Cheetos go? Which, that would be the weird thing, too. You get a bag of chips, you don't know what they are because it's dark. Anyways, that's going to do it for the big show today. Thanks to Devon Pouncey. Thanks to super producer Brenden. Thanks to all of you. Have a terrific Tuesday. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning bright and early here on 620 Rip City Radio.